Council meeting of November 14th, 2022. I ask that you all rise for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Well, thank you to the National Film Board for the images of our country and to our very own Tenille Towns for the singing of our national anthem. We're going to move on with today's agenda, looking under item number 3, the adoption of the previous council minutes. Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I'd like to move that council adopt the minutes of the City Council meeting held October 31st, 2022 as presented.
Thank you for that. That motion is in order. Seeing no comments or questions, I'll call the question. Please vote.
Councillor Bosch in favor.
Councillor Berg in favor.
And that's carried unanimously. Moving along to item number 4, the adoption of today's agenda. And I will go to Councillor O'Toole for that. Just move your mic over 1 sec, please, Councillor O'Toole. There we go.
I move the council adopt the agenda as presented.
Perfect. Thank you for that. That motion is in order. Call the question. Please vote. Mayor Clayton in favor. Councillor O'Toole. Okay. There we go. That carries unanimously. Moving on to delegations. If you're not aware and you're watching from home, you'd like to come speak to council, we just ask that you fill out a simple form online to let us know ahead of time of what you are wishing to talk to council about. We do have 3 delegations here today to speak to council. First one being the Grande Prairie Chamber of Commerce. So if you want to come on up to the table, once you get set up, I'll turn your mic on for you. There you go. Once you get set up and introduce yourself for those who may be watching, 5 minutes to speak to council, and then I'll open up to council for questions. So welcome.
All right. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Mayor Clayton and Council. I'm excited to be back today, and I want to extend my appreciation for this opportunity to talk to you further about our Regional Workforce Development Partnership and to address your questions. Today, I'll provide more insight into some of our goals and actions, KPIs, and a budget overview. This isn't news to you. Shortage of skilled labor is one of the most pressing issues facing employers across the region. Further, we're competing with talent, with communities across Canada and beyond, also facing labor and skill shortages. This is impacting the ability of local employers to grow and remain competitive. It's impacting the strength and prosperity of our regional economy, and it's impacting the well-being and quality of life of our communities and the people living here. A recent Alberta Chambers of Commerce study shows that a majority, or 61% of business respondents in northwestern Alberta, are experiencing significant or moderate staffing shortages. The region needs a deep pool of skilled and diverse talent to continue to be a strong and vibrant economic hub. The comprehensive research we conducted identifies barriers, gaps, and opportunities to address this critical issue. I'm here today representing our Workforce Development Committee, a committee that we struck nearly 3 years ago, made up of employees of the Chamber, City, County, Greenview, and Northwestern Polytechnic, with the goal to define our direction to address the talent shortages across our region. As you know, we're inviting the City of Grande Prairie to formally become part of a regional workforce development partnership, a new way forward to address this complex and critical issue. The city plays an integral role in workforce development across the region. As the region's largest urban center, your engagement in the partnership, leading a regional strategy with the Chamber, Northwestern Polytechnic, and the county, and Greenview, and your voice at the table when we're making decisions is key to the success of our partnership. Following over 2 years of comprehensive research, we are proposing a regional workforce development partnership as the best way forward to achieve this. Its overarching purpose is to bring coordination to a broad ecosystem of stakeholders to collectively work together to strengthen our regional workforce system. The partners cannot do this work alone. Today's labor market issues are complex. Solutions require an approach that draws on the collective wisdom and resources of multiple stakeholders working together. Communities that recognize the need for innovation and collaboration will be best positioned for long-term and sustainable success. The partnership will champion a focus on the workforce development needs of the region, resting on the strengths of the region. Our work will recognize the uniqueness of the region's individual communities as well as their interconnectivity. Sometimes our work will support initiatives already underway in the region. Other times we might facilitate collaboration and coordination among stakeholders. And even other times we might spearhead initiatives and invite relevant stakeholders to work with us to drive a specific initiative. You may wonder, why is a partnership necessary? Why not just continue on as a committee with the work implemented by the partner employees? And indeed, the collaboration has been very effective to date. A consultant has been providing project management services to support the coordination, planning, and communications for the research and planning we've conducted over the past nearly 3 years, work that has led us to the development of a regional workforce development strategy. Moving forward, however, we must shift our focus to implement the strategy. This work requires a dedicated staff person to manage the work, coordinate stakeholders in the steering group, and be responsive to emerging needs, opportunities, and resources. As well, we require sustainable funding so we can plan beyond the short term. This is a long-term issue. The partnership addresses the need for deliberate, innovative, and collaborative long-term focus on workforce development. Committee members are very committed to leading and guiding the work, but we do not have the capacity to manage our own organization's priorities and give the dedicated, coordinated, and extensive time required for an effective way forward. The Regional Workforce Development Partnership requires the involvement of the Chamber, Northwestern Polytechnic, municipal partners, and community stakeholders working together. There is knowledge and resources across our communities. Our role is to harness that potential and be an instrument of collective impact for workforce development across the region. To be successful, it's essential that all gears turn in coordination to achieve the desired outcome. Each of the roles is defined in our terms of reference, which I covered last time, so I won't go into detail on that. Our 3 main areas of focus are collaboration, informed decisions and actions, and to develop, attract, and retain talent. So over the next 4 slides, I'll speak to just a few of the initiatives and goals we have planned. All of the actions and initiatives that are defined in the strategy are still in draft and will be refined if the partnership is approved. Of course, keep in mind that the strategy is a living document. We must be nimble and able to respond to emerging and shifting needs as well as available resources. So the first goal that's identified is to formalize and strengthen the existing partnership that has been in place since the inception of the strategy. One of the objectives, to have a partnership in place that recognizes the uniqueness of each community in the region, understands the need for a regional focus on workforce development, and will implement and manage the regional workforce development strategy. We have had a 100% success rate in applying for and receiving labor market partnership grants through this committee, and we've leveraged about $150,000 in provincial funds to help drive our work to date. So we're very excited about that. We've already developed a terms of reference and an MOU, which we aim to have all 5 partners sign in January 2023. And upon approval, we will commence the process to hire an employee and have them in place for Q2. Goal 2, attract, retain, and train talent to support local businesses and address the workforce gaps. The first objective we have identified under here is to integrate employees who are new to the region into the community and support them and their families during their transition to the area to facilitate business and workforce development. Community culture is growing in importance when deciding to move and live in a community, along with workforce culture. With the Regional Quality of Life Asset Map, we aim to jumpstart engagement in the community and more quickly connect prospective and new employees to those assets. Another objective we have identified under this goal is to get a true understanding of regional childcare availability and its impact on workforce development. Our research showed that childcare is one of the barriers for employment. We're getting various messaging about the specific issue, so our priority is to first understand the issue, discover what research is available, and what initiatives are currently already underway before we decide how to best address the issue. Goal 3, build partnerships and collaboration to support the attraction and retention of talent, skills, development, and training. And the objective to work with Northwestern Polytechnic to integrate students into the region and exchange knowledge on training needs. We plan to work closely with NWP to help keep students in the region. We'll leverage the asset bank to help integrate their students into the region, and we'll look to provide new opportunities to connect NWP with the needs of industry to help them be responsive to those needs. Goal 4, celebrate and promote the region as a great place to live and work. The first objective, leverage existing resources in the region to facilitate employer attraction and retention efforts. Through this, we'll identify regional collaborators, such as municipalities, newcomers associations, regional tourism, and set up meetings to identify opportunities to coordinate and align efforts to promote the region. Informed decision-making based on data, not perceptions, is key not just for the partnership, but for the region's businesses and stakeholders. And the other objective we have identified so far under here is to enhance attraction and retention messaging and marketing to support informed decision-making on moving to and living in the region. We'll keep stakeholders informed through a number of avenues, including a presentation, bringing those stakeholders together, and sharing findings that will support their workforce efforts. This is a snapshot of our proposed 3-year partnership budget with a breakdown between the various partners. Formalizing and resourcing the partnership, including hiring an employee, allows us to be nimble, responsive, and relevant to be effective in a constantly evolving workforce environment. Multiple sources of funding, the partner funding necessary for sustainability and long-term planning, and external funding such as grants, etc., is all taken into consideration in this budget. Year 1 is continuing to build on foundations of the partnership and commencing and delivering on initiatives. A key deliverable is hiring a full-time employee in Q2. Connecting people in place will be a key theme in Year 1. Initiatives include developing a comprehensive marketing and communications plan and undertaking tactics that grow recognition of the region, promote and create awareness of our region's quality of life assets, and jumpstart new employee community engagement and sense of belonging. We'll also focus on strengthening the workforce ecosystem, engaging collaborators in the work of the partnership. The strategy is a living document. While being planned and proactive, we will be able to respond to emerging issues and opportunities, as well as to tailor an approach based on available resources. Each initiative we undertake, we will define KPIs based on a number of factors. Once we have approval to commence the partnership, we will develop a work plan, clearly defining how we will measure the success of our work. As a partnership administrator, the Chamber will receive administration fees associated with the funding up to a maximum of 10% of the total budget. In turn, to execute the work of the partnership, the Chamber will manage funds and provide logistical coordination, administrative and staff support and management, and use of our organization space, as well as our policies, procedures, and bylaws. Now, in closing, I want to thank the City for your interest and support of our project over the past 3 years. Talent skills and shortages are critical issues across all sectors in our region. A thoughtful, strategic, and collaborative approach to workforce development is necessary and urgent. Building a culture of cooperation and collaboration through the framework of this partnership is the right thing to do. Our businesses need this to grow and be competitive. Our communities and the region need this to compete in the global economy, to be leaders in prosperity and growth, and to provide our residents with a desirable quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that and that additional information. I'll open it up to council for questions, recognizing Councillor Berg.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I have 3 questions, but I'll ask 2 and then I'll let someone else ask some questions. So, do you have firm commitments from any of the other partners yet?
No, we do not at this time.
Okay, so then if somebody chooses not to join, what is the plan? Is it to come back or is it to scale it back?
So this would be a serious concern if we don't have all partners, as our labor force issues continue to have a significant impact on every aspect of all of our communities. So without everybody, we will, be left behind. So we need to address the concern first. If we do have somebody who doesn't want to be part of the partnership, and if we're unable to do so, we'd bring everybody forward together to try to find a way forward. But we're hoping that that's not the case. We just really need all of us together to tackle this.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for that. Councillor Blackmore.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Clayton. I just have a couple of questions that you can confirm for me. Yes, I'm maybe not understanding this correctly, Ms. Oliver, but in the beginning you said, I believe that you've been working on a regional workforce development partnership for the last 3 years. Is that correct?
We've been working as a committee for the past 3 years, and more project and initiative based as we are going.
Okay, because that's a concern for me that you're working towards a strategy for 3 years. This is, to me, a significant period of time. And you still have not developed an asset bank, which you've indicated you will by Q4 of 2023, nor have you assessed childcare, which you will do by Q3 of 2023. Can you confirm that that's what you said in your report?
So some of the initiatives that the committee has been working on so far, we have our labor market needs assessment, we did our target sector profile study, and also the workforce development strategy was a result of that, and that was released in the spring of this year.
And did you do that in-house, or was that with the help of a consultant?
That was with the help of a consultant. And we also had a project manager to help connect the partners with the consultant and to drive that work forward.
And so then your ask today is for us to take this to budget with 63,000 for this year, 84 for next, 65, whatever, 60 odd.
Yeah.
Confirm that's your ask today.
Yes, that's the ask. It has already been referred to budget, but I wanted to provide the additional opportunity today for more information. And to date, like I said, we've been tackling this initiative by initiative and, digging into the issue and getting some more data, providing some more information. And we really want to be able to tackle some of the actions in the strategy and just drive this forward and continue on together.
Great, thanks for that. Councillor Plott.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. Thanks for coming in again, Ms. Oliver. A couple of colleagues already asked a few questions. I just wanted to know, are the grants secured for all 3 years, or is it just for the first year? Maybe I missed that part.
So the grants was a forecast. They're not secured. We did secure some funding recently through the committee. And so if we are not successful in obtaining all those grants, we would scale some of the extra initiatives and programs back and just focus on what we are able to do with the resources available.
Okay. And within the current space with the chamber to be able to house this position and administratively, you guys are confident you could do that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Berg.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. So my question is, and I'm hoping you know more than I do, and you can educate me a little bit here. So here in Grande Prairie, we have Vital Signs, and we're asked to fund that. We've also got Invest Grande Prairie, and they're doing some great work there. Where does this fit in, or where's the lane that this report fills that is not currently being occupied?
Yeah, great question. So this partnership would complement the work of InvestGP and also leverage the work that Vital Signs does. The InvestGP team actually has a couple of their employees that do sit on this committee and would form part of the partnership. An example here would be the rural renewal stream. So InvestGP is executing on the rural renewal stream, helping the employees and dealing with the day-to-day stuff there. The work of this committee will then help support the work of the InvestGP team as far as the asset bank goes and those kinds of development of the assets to help support that initiative. So it's meant to complement work that's already being done.
Thank you.
Thank you for those questions. Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Thank you, Tanya, for coming in. I guess my question is, I have two. Is there going to be repetition from the work that you've already done?
No, I sure hope not. Our intention is not to repeat work that
You've
we've
already
done,
done
leverage work that we've done.
labor study, correct?
Yes. Yes, so we are leveraging the labor market needs assessment, and that fed into the workforce development strategy. All the work that we already did fed into the strategy. So the plan that's laid out in the strategy is a result of that research and the data that we've gathered so far. So we'll be executing on that, not duplicating the research.
Okay, because I would sure hate to put money into duplications if we already have InvestGP doing work and you doing work and
Yeah, absolutely
the
not.
college is doing well and WP is doing work. Excuse me. You have the concierge program here again, and then you just spoke about developing assets. Can you go into any one of those two and just give some more information as to what that means?
Yeah, so the funding that we just obtained actually through the most recent labor market partnership grant, which was the news release went out this afternoon, is to develop the asset bank. And through the concierge program, we would use the asset bank to connect newcomers with the assets in the community. The asset bank will be available to anybody in the community once it's completed. In the event this partnership doesn't go forward, and even if in the event it does go forward, it will be a community access to the asset bank. So having the employee being able to have that as one of their tasks will have that one-on-one support for the employees, and it's to help increase retention in the community, not retention with the individual business, but help keep people in the community longer.
Okay, and to your point about assets, can you give me some examples of what kind of assets are you talking about?
So, one of our stakeholders in this project will be Grande Prairie Regional Tourism Association. They have identified many community quality of life assets already, such as the various recreation things to do, that sort of thing. Part of it will be childcare. Part of it can be, where are the different housing available. There's a long list that we've yet to develop. We will be developing it in consultation with the consultant. But the quality of life assets, such as those things.
Okay, thank you, Tanya.
Yeah.
Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Thanks for coming in, Ms. Oliver, and bringing this extra info. Appreciate it. Just a couple questions for you. So a lot of work has been done by the committee, and I appreciate those hours put in to put something together here. When we hire the employee, seeing that's one of the key deliverables with this going through, would that then result in the dissolution of the committee, or would the committee still stay active and provide oversight?
Yeah, absolutely. So the committee will still stay intact. So going back to the structure that we have with the steering group would now be the committee. The chamber would have the employee, but the employee's would be solely dedicated to the partnership. And the steering group would provide the strategic oversight and set the overarching marching orders basically for the employee, and the employee would report back to myself, who would then be responsible to the steering group.
Okay, thanks for that. My other question is in regards to the concierge program. Is that when developed, would that be fully voluntary for people going, or would that be the responsibility of the employee or the committee to take potential new employees or new employers around the city of Grande Prairie to show them quality of life?
Yeah, it would definitely be voluntary. It would be a service that we would offer. We would connect with employers, and whomever wants to take advantage of that would be connected in that way. Yeah.
Councillor Berg.
Thank you. And again, my apologies, Tanya, for all the questions. So you've laid out a 3-year budget here. Is that a time frame that you see this wrapping up, or do you hope that this is ongoing?
I would love to have the labor issues solved in 3 years, but I don't think that's realistic. I believe 3 years would give us a really good start to tackle some of these issues, do some of these initiatives. Ideally, long term, we would love to find sustainable funding outside of just relying on the 4 partners and government grants. Perhaps other stakeholders would want to fund it. We're not there yet. But as much as I would like to say I would love to be done in 3 years, this is a long-term issue that we've been facing long before COVID hit, and I'd love to have it solved in 3 years, but I don't think that's realistic.
I'm going to jump in before I go to Councillor Blackmore. I need a little bit of confidence in regards to the timeline estimates. You talk about the 4 quarters of next year and the work that'll be done, and then reference it as a 3-year project. My concern at a high level is the fact that our labor force needs are ever changing. Currently, there may be hospitality and retail needs, and you go through your consultation process, you build a great communication and marketing plan, and it's focused on the needs as of today. 6 months from now, we get a huge announcement in the gateway, a Greenville Industrial Gateway, and now we need hundreds of engineers, and you've done a marketing and comms plan for hospitality and retail people. And so tell me how easy it is for this project to pivot where it becomes responsive and relative to the needs of the region.
Yeah, that's a great question, Mayor Clayton. So I actually think that having this partnership in place empowers us to be better equipped to deal with something like this, because it is ever changing. In the absence of this partnership, we're having 5 different entities having the same conversations in our own silos, and going to the same stakeholders with the same questions. And yes, perhaps if that's where our marketing comms plan goes in one direction and we realize we need to go in the other, we're all very committed to staying relevant and being responsive and being able to work together to figure out what that is really sets us up for success.
Yeah, I guess, and where some of my concern lies in the fact that, as Councillor Blackmore mentioned, it's been an ongoing process for almost 3 years now, and nobody can give us back that time that we lost to COVID. So I completely understand and respect that. I need to see more results sooner than later, and a 4-quarter plan before I actually see any results is concerning to me. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. Councillor Blackmore.
When I look at your proposed 3-year partnership budget, I see the city, the county, the MD, Northwest Polytechnic, but what I don't see is a line from the chamber itself. Are you going to go to your membership and ask for support specific to this? Or are you relying entirely on government funding?
So this initiative, at this point with the budget, we are relying fully on government funding. the Chamber has put in dollars as well as in-kind services over the past 3 years. And this way forward with the partnership converts the Chamber as to being the administrator for the partnership. We do have an administration fee that we would collect from the proposed budget up to a maximum of 10% as outlined in the terms of reference. And that, as I mentioned before, looking forward, we would like to be less reliant on government funding for this partnership. And over the next 3 years, we can get that foundation in place and then go out to other stakeholders to hopefully supplement that budget.
All right. Well, I see no further questions in the queue. I know you're aware of our process. We'll go through delegations and go through our committee business, and then we'll come back to delegations for questions that council may have of administration and potentially provide any business arising from that conversation. So thank you for coming today. Appreciate the additional context and information you were able to provide. I think it was valuable to the conversation. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Moving on to item 5.2 in today's meeting, we have the Nitehawk organization here. I see Mr. Clarkson in the audience. He's going to come and get set up and talk to us and tell us about how much great snow is being made and accumulating at the ski hill. But no, please, I'll turn the mic over to you and welcome. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton and Council, for having me today. And yes, hopefully these temperatures cool down a little bit more. We need at least -6 consistently to be making snow. So we got about 4 days in last week, and we'll hope to start back up again on Wednesday. So, and targeted opening is November 26th for our soft opening. So looking forward to that, and also having more terrain. As I said in my update a few months ago, we actually finished creating the cut across run for Easy Street over to the new Summit T-Bar, which Council helped support last year and was a big regional initiative. So that's been absolutely awesome. And we saw, I think I mentioned previously, increases of revenue about 16% in February of last year and 19% in March. So that addition to the hill was certainly a very welcome thing. A reason I'm here today is obviously with yourselves going into budget here this week as well. When we initially submitted our ask for 2023, we didn't actually have a budget put together yet, so administration had submitted basically a duplicate of what we had previously submitted for 2022. So we have since then worked on the budget and everything and submitted that to our other 2 municipal partners as well. So I just wanted to come back with the additions to that and just ask for the, I guess, for council to consider approving those additions. So on the capital side, and I know you all have been provided the presentation with the updated capital budget in advance. So it's approximately $19,000 in additional capital funding. Some of those things will account to staff housing, which, speaking to what Tanya from the Chamber just talked about, staffing is a major issue for us going into this season. We typically hire about 110 staff for the season, part-time, casual, and some full-time. Right now, we're sitting at 60 people of that 110 that we need. So it's very worrisome as we go into the season. I've been asked by my board already if we see ourselves potentially having to reduce our operating hours or cut back on things. So that initiative, and if again, providing support for that initiative is going to be huge. So I think, you know, obviously the majority of our staff are teenagers and school-aged and college students, but transportation to the hill is a big concern, obviously, with the construction that's been happening on Highway 40 and causing increased wait times and things like that. So anyway, that initiative will certainly help. But on our budget, staff housing is one. So our board had approved to purchase a 6-bedroom staff accommodation unit that will provide accommodations year-round. Right now we have about 5 people living in staff accommodations. That accommodation unit is roughly about 1962. So it's certainly not the best, and I do feel bad well, not sometimes, all the time, when I see our staff having to live inside that unit. But anyway, the other things too, rental equipment is another thing that was added to this year's budget. Previous capital budgets have focused on a lot of outside operations, and that's a lot of things inside internally. Recently, we had to replace a boiler, which was $13,000 to our shop. So it's things like that that are going to continue to arise, being an aging facility. Again, the Shelley's 1972, and we've been adding on portables and other buildings and such. So that's certainly adding to those increased capital costs. I'm seeing in the next year here a potential for a new furnace unit for our 4,000 square feet of portables off the back of the chalet, being that all 4 of those units that came from the Catholic School Division, those furnace units have been, well, 5 years ago told us that there were no parts available for them and such. So again, just justifying that increase in capital funding that we're looking for. The other thing too, just to bring us up in terms of operating, our ask to yourselves as well as the county is for $50,000, the MD of Greenview $100,000 to help us with operating costs. Fuel costs are going up. Obviously, we've all seen it. I just ordered $50,000 worth of fuel to fill 2 tanks to help us with our generators and our compressors with snowmaking just last week, and at just under $2 a liter for diesel fuel. I can see our fuel costs continuing to rise there. So last year we spent, even with less terrain, roughly about $204,000 on fuel and energy. So I can see that going up again. So if we could just come in alignment with the other municipalities, that would be great. It's roughly an increase of $1,815 to bring us up to the 15,000 or 50,000. Sorry. And then the other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention, we have been working with Alberta Environment and Parks on securing a long-term lease. This was a priority that was actually brought forward by, I believe, Reeve Beaupre with the County of Grande Prairie at a board meeting, as well as, I think actually Mayor Clayton brought this up as well, with looking to secure a longer-term lease. So we've been working with AEP on a tourism and commercial land lease, switching from a recreational lease. What that means is essentially there's now a land securities portion to that. I've been advised by Andrew Goldberg with AEP that could amount to $325,000 total land securities for the property that we occupy, which is 2 quarter sections right now. So with that, we would use the same funding model, essentially 50% from the MD and 25% from yourselves and 25% from the county, and that's a max amount. So I'm not necessarily, I guess, asking for that total amount right now, but I guess putting it out there that this could be an amount that we could be coming forward and asking for. I have been in conversation with the MD of Greenview and the county. The county currently has an MOU with Camp Tamarack, I believe, on their lease. And the county pulled the lease, but I'm not too sure if that's something that the MD would be interested in pursuing. But anyway, that is something that could come down the way. So. Anyway, with that, I'll just open it up to questions and that with regards to what's going on at the Hill and any other updates you may like. And yeah, I can give that.
Perfect. Thanks for that information. Councillor Blackmore.
This may not be a question. It may be a question you cannot answer today, but I'm wondering what the ski hill is planning long-term for slope stabilization, or if you've had any engineering back that would give you any direction on the future of the hill and its current location.
I guess to answer that as broadly as I can right now, what we have done is our board has approved and we've moved forward with, along with help from AEP, we actually received $250,000 from Alberta Environment and Parks, and we've installed 19 boreholes around the hill. And those boreholes are being monitored monthly to collect data on groundwater levels and slope stability. So those are the things that we're doing right now, with the hope that after collecting enough data, we then can build out a slope model and then prove what the long-term stability of the hill will be. So those are the things we're working on right now. And again, before we come to our municipal partners for a big ask potentially down the line, if we were to put the chairlift back, that's why we're doing all this information or gathering of information. So, yep.
Councillor O'Connor.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Clayton. I'm just curious for the land security. Can you explain to me what that means? It seems awfully high for just leasing some property. I know some leases are like $1 for 29 years, and I'm not quite getting why they're asking such a large amount of money.
Definitely. So Alberta Environment and Parks is trying to get, I guess, a little bit more formal in the sense that our lease that was initially, our recreational lease that was pulled in 1960 originally, there was no securities on the land at all. And what the securities are for is essentially remediation. So if Nitehawk was to essentially fold, or if walk away from the site, essentially, those funds would be used to help remediate the site. What it works out to roughly is $1,000 an acre, which based on our current infrastructure and development, that would likely be a drop in the hat for actual remediation. But Alberta Environment Parks is getting more formal with their asks to their partners, and with this tourism commercial land lease conversion, that's where that's coming from.
Thank you.
I'll just jump in the queue. I had a couple questions. Now let's see if they come back to me. Oh, I just noticed in your highlights from 2021, and I just wanted to mention total observation. I think that the facility did an exceptional job of summer activities there this year. I know that it wasn't easy without a chairlift to get bikes up the hill. On a personal note, my one son was out there at least once a week, and I'm sure it wasn't easy, and labor intensive. But the people that were able to enjoy the amenity of biking while getting the bikes trailered up the hill after every run, it was labor intensive, but it still filled a void. So congratulations on being creative and sticking with it to be able to serve that need. I did have a question in regard, though, to municipal funding. It's been a long time since we looked at this from a high level. Tell me some comparables of other municipalities and how they support their ski hills financially.
Gosh, I know that Misery Mountain and Peace River is municipally funded, and they were actually not going to open, but with community support as well as individual volunteers coming forward with snowmaking help, they're pushing to open. Tawatna Valley, just south of Edmonton, their facilities are actually owned by the municipality of the County of Westlock, and those facilities are actually insured that way as well. So. As I'm sure many of you are aware, RMA has recently pulled out on 10 ski areas, Nitehawk being one of those. And so with that, Tawatna has essentially only had to look at their general liability insurance. So that's certainly a big help from Westlock County to be owning the facility, I guess, in that regard. Windsport down in Calgary, I just learned this year, is completely funded through federal, provincial, and also municipal grants. And it was actually interesting to see that facility piecemealed together, no different than we are in that sense, with portable buildings and things like that. So there's certainly countless ski areas in and around the area. Fairview, I'm trying to think, Manning is another one.
Edmonton Ski Club. In the heart of the city.
Yes, actually, another big one, Edmonton City Council, I believe, just voted in favor of approving a grant to help improve their chalet facilities there. And they also received, I believe it was the CFEP grant that they received. So there's countless small ski areas. There's a reason why small ski areas are not privately owned, and that's because they're not large revenue generators. The only one that I'm really aware of is Canyon in Red Deer, that is under private ownership, and Robin and David make a go at it every year and hope for the best. So it's
okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Councillor Berg.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Thanks for being here, Jonathan. You guys always do a great job. So the one question that I have is. I see here the grand total for 2023 is $192,000. What are we currently funding you at? And so I guess what is new dollars? I thought I saw 19,000 somewhere, but I can't seem to find it on the spot.
Yeah, so additional funds for capital. So if the slide previous to that, municipal totals request, that total includes operating as well as capital. So it was previously, I believe, $123,000 that was approved in last year's budget, or the last budget cycle 2 years ago. So this year increasing that to 142, which is the 19,000, and then the additional 1,815 from the previous 48,185 in operating. So that's just those increases there.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, no problem.
Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Jonathan. Just looking at some of your numbers here, you're looking at 192,000 for 23, and then 219,625. What's the jump for that?
The big one on that will be a skid steer and ASV replacement at $90,000. So for those that aren't familiar, it's basically a tracked machine that we have, and our tracked ASV is, oh gosh, dating myself here, but yeah, I think it's about a 2009 machine. So it's certainly we've been putting parts and labor into it, and as I'm sure you know, with your service division and all that, you have to weigh out the options at some point. Where do you stop putting money into a machine once it starts to hour out?
Right. Okay.
But that's the big one on the 2024 budget.
And then that's the 50,000 increase for energy costs and fuel and such added on to that, right? Already?
Yeah, so 50, the capital budget there, and then the operating at 50,000 per year. That is essentially to help us with our energy costs, which would be fuel, electricity, which in the wintertime our energy bills will spike up to about $20,000 to $22,000 a month, and because we spike, we have to carry those costs throughout the year because of infrastructure that has to be in place to deliver that power. So we end up paying, even the summer months, we were paying $12,000 to $15,000 a month just over the summer and not using the power that we do in the winter.
So from the past, how much has that grown? Sorry, I just don't know that.
For sure. So obviously with the landslide and less terrain, this past year we had $204,000 in energy costs. In previous years, we would have been, and this was back when energy didn't cost as much, we would have been upwards around $220,000 to $230,000. I could look back at some historical and pull those numbers. We do have, I have pulled the last 5 years historical, but it's certainly not going down, that's for sure. And we are part of a buying group as well through AUMA. As well for our power. So we are locked in until I believe 2026 at a better rate. So we do negotiate those things. And then on the delivery side, which is your distribution, which when you look at your house bill, that's the largest portion. We've got a group with the Canada West Ski Areas Association, which is our kind of governing body for all ski areas in Western Canada, that is lobbying and working with government on basically putting tariffs in place to no different than what are they called now? For farmers, essentially with their irrigation tariffs that were brought in, because in the summer months when farming is going on, they spike in power usage as well. So the farmers have negotiated with distributors in that a better rate. So we're looking to do the same thing for ski areas because we all face the same problem. So
yeah, we're working on that too.
Yeah.
Can I ask another question? Or do you have a field?
A few. Can I come back?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton, and thanks again. Always good to see you, Jonathan.
See you too.
So a question for you, just in regards to the extra energy costs that you were just talking about. How's those conversations gone with the MD of Greenview? I know in the past, like when I sat on the board, a lot of times I found the funding request came to city and county first, and then we were all left wondering if the MD was going to chip in as well. And it's theoretically their asset on their land, right?
Totally.
I guess not theoretically. So how's the conversations going with them in the 100,000 task?
So we have presented again to them. We have received the funding for obviously 2022 as well. Reeve Olson hasn't brought any concerns forward to me, so I'm hopeful that that's a good sign. And we have presented to the county as well, and county council's approved our 4-year operating budget to my knowledge already. So I'm hopeful. The more of you that come on board, the more likely it is that the other ones come on board too. So
True. Yeah, you got to drop one domino for the rest to fall.
That's right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Councillor Thiessen. Councillor Bosch.
Now this is going to be a fun question.
Okay.
So the water slide and the winter tubing, you're going to continue with both?
So the hope is that next summer, obviously we wanted to get the bike park back up and running this past summer. So we are hopeful to get the summer slides, the most fun of the summer, the wet and wild, 4-lane slide. We are hoping to get that back next summer. So the biggest thing with that is actually figuring out water delivery and circulation. So we have to work with other community partners on bringing in essentially large trash pumps, large water pumps to circulate that water from top to bottom and that. So it's just logistics.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
But hopefully that'll come back. So
both are
I'd love to do it in
enjoyable.
the city with the downtown association.
I know.
Councillor O'Connor.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Thank you, Jonathan. Great report. You always wish you don't have to come and ask, but you're here. So, I notice on one of the slides a deferral of your unspent budget of 42.47. Is this impacted by the COVID supply chain thing? It looks like a lot of equipment needed to be ordered.
Yeah, so partly that, but also partly because we did a major capital project last year. So that started typically when we would be making all these improvements in that. So the 42.47% that wasn't spent is essentially an ask to carry that over, so that those projects still need to happen. We still need to move forward on those things. So I believe I mentioned that too in the I guess 2021 funding update earlier in the year. But yeah, so those projects will still happen, and it was some supply chain issues. Like I'm still waiting on snowmobiles that we ordered 2 years ago from our supplier, and other parts and things like that for our lifts that we're still waiting on. But the main reason was because of the Summit T-Bar capital project happening, and that took all of our resources to make that happen. So
Supplementary. Thank you, Mayor Clayton. So how confident are you to be able to complete these projects this year?
Well, right now with staffing issues, it is something that I'm hopeful that we'll be able to continue to move forward on. We are losing our maintenance manager, close friend of mine, John Gibson, who's been with us for 16 years. He's moving away and purchasing a lift servicing company. So we are losing him. So we are looking for more skilled talent again, and even more reasons why the things that the chamber is working on are important for our region is to bring that skilled labor in. So we have hired somebody in the interim, but that person is not there for the long term. They're filling a void right now. So. But my hope is that we can continue to work on the projects as we plan, and that we'll continue to move forward on those things. Just may mean hiring contractors and that to help us out with some of these things. Like even with our snowcat maintenance, I've looked into options to send our snowcats to Calgary to print off snowcats directly, because we don't have the skilled in-house talent right now. And they actually said to me that we're not the only ones that are looking at that option, and there's other large players in the ski industry that have already gone that way because they can't find skilled labor either. Right now there's 9 ski areas in Western Canada that are looking for mill rates, and we're not the most attractive one of those 9 right now. So we have to look at our hiring process and everything all around. This is going to be. I'm interested to sit in on some of the conversations with the chamber and this committee, because I think that's going to be so important as to how we attract people to our region. So,
to Jonathan.
Councillor Berg.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. So my question is about the property that you actually have in city limits. Can you give us, now that the summer's over, how was your summer at Bear Paw?
Summer was good. The great thing was that we saw a return to ball tournaments, which are a big part of the revenue that the RV park at Bear Paw generates. So that was great to see that number come back up again after 2 years of COVID and dealing with no ball league. And then the golfing was equally just as busy. We didn't see, typically year over year, we saw a 10% increase in revenue on average. This year we didn't see that. We just came back into kind of a leveling out period. So I'm hopeful that again next year, with return of corporate functions and things like that, that we can continue to build on that and continue to drive revenue at that facility. It's been great working with the city service team down there too, and Parks Department. They've been doing a phenomenal job keeping things up there, and like I said, we're looking forward to getting back to normal, I guess you could say, and welcoming more people back to that facility. So
great, thanks.
Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much. Less of operations. Something as I was scrolling through to see what Councillor O'Connor was looking at, I came through one of my own notes. It's just based off of the survey results that you sent us in, saying what you maybe didn't know about Nitehawk Ski Hill. But on the one that says who is using the hill, the first tab is 18 to 24. Now I know for a fact, and I only have to scroll a page or two down, and then I get a lot of pictures of kids. But is there a way that you can capture the user groups of people under the age of 18, or was this just like a miscue on this one?
This is well, again, the survey was just the respondents that responded to the survey. We can certainly, I mean, our partner groups obviously are continuing to get back to normal as well and growing their membership. The Alpine team, I believe, right now is sitting at roughly around 80 members, which would all be, between the ages of Nancy Green starts at 4 all the way up to age 16, 17 for the high performance kids. And then freestyle is going through rebuilding phase right now, and they're seeing roughly, I think they're about 10 to 15 members right now. At one time they were 55. So again, I think the snowboard club roughly is around 40 members, I believe, for this season. So certainly those are areas that we can capture those numbers. I mean, we know also through our school program with 8,000 school students coming out to the hill on average every season. Those are kids between grades 4 and grade 10. So certainly a lot of youth using our facility too. But the respondents to the survey were, I guess, the ones with the computers and the tablets that.
Yeah, for sure. And I get the other one, number of family members visiting. It still doesn't give it that context, but I think the hill is a vital place, a beautiful piece of nature, and some place to go with your family. So when you're reaching out to sponsors or even councils like this, it's good to have that data to know that, especially if there's somebody new who's never been to the hill. How would they know that 8,000 school kids went through Nitehawk Ski Hill last year and stuff like that? So I think that's important data to include, and just a suggestion for future.
Oh, thank you. And we'll be doing another survey. This was data actually collected pre-COVID, so I'd like to see where that maybe is. There are those changes as we come forward and move out of COVID. So and try and get back to full capacity again, because we were limited capacity of 150 visitors to the hill while the lift was down. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor O'Toole.
There we go. Councillor Berg brought up the Bear Paw. We went down there this summer and we got a little bit of a nature view. We had a mama and some twins, I think it was, or triplets. I'm not sure now. That's good. It was a great experience, and I donated to your cause. What about the chalet at Ski Hill? Is it doing good? Like, are the locals coming in there for some ribs and the odd meal or brunch and stuff like that?
So exciting news this year is we haven't had the restaurant hasn't been open the last few years because of COVID, and we needed that space for extra seating for the cafeteria, so it was overflow seating because we were down to 15% a lot of our season, which with the cafeteria, which normally seats roughly about 90, that was roughly about 16 people that could be in there at any given time. So we needed to capitalize on the extra space. So this year we are reopening the restaurant. We've actually we've had 3 years of comedy night that we haven't spent, and so we've actually invested that into the chalet and done a beautiful renovation in there. Moved the social beverage spot to the front of the lounge. We've updated tables, and through help of other community partners like Echo AVU and Low Floor Cabinets and such, we've had donations and Standard Auto Glass. We've had donations to that project, so that's been great, and I look forward to having you guys all out to see it. I was actually talking to Tanya about hosting the January Chamber Mixer out at Nitehawk, so it'd be great to have all of you come out and enjoy the space. So.
I'd love to send Councillor O'Toole down a tube. Perfect.
Looks like I'm coming out.
There we go. Perfect. Glow tubing with Councillor O'Toole.
So just as a guest,
That didn't mean I opened up the mic for more conversation for you, but feel free.
How many patrons come to the ski hill on a good year?
In the winter season, I would say between 20 and 28,000. That wouldn't include our school visits. That's just day ticket visitors. And then total numbers, we can't give an exact number for our RV park customers and everything too. But we say roughly between 40 and 45,000 visits annually. So it's a fair amount of people that are coming out and enjoying the facility.
So it's a facility that gets used.
Yeah, and definitely with Bear Paw added in there too. I mean, that would add to our visitation and our influence within the community. So,
good. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming today. As you know, with our process, we deal with delegation business following our committee business. So you're welcome to stick around, or someone from administration will follow up if there's any questions.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Mayor Clayton and
Yeah,
Council.
you bet.
Appreciate all your questions.
Thanks. All right, moving on to item 5.3, the Grande Prairie Cricket Association. I see a couple delegates here. If you'd like to come on up, sit at the table. As you saw from the process, it's about 5 minutes for you to present and then about 55 minutes for questions. So just want to welcome you. Thank you for coming. Please introduce yourself, though, on the mic for those who might be watching from home.
Good afternoon, Mayor Clayton and all the councillors. My name is Digvijay Parmar. I go by Vijay. Everyone knows me, Vijay.
Welcome.
Digvijay is a little bit complicated. With me, I have my Vice President of Grande Prairie Cricket Association, Waqar Khan, as well. All Commonwealth countries, cricket is very, very popular. It's part of culture. And when I moved from Edmonton 20 years ago, 22 now, to Grande Prairie, there was no sign of cricket. So I was very depressed that I'm going to a town, work there, and there's no cricket. So that was how important that was. I planned to come work here just for 6 months and go back to Edmonton. I have stayed back for that long. One of the reasons staying back is cricket. City supported cricket. Kevin O'Toole saw us playing like really passionate sports lovers, and so City supported us with a cricket ground and pitch. That was 2012. Ever since we started with 0, and then now we have so many teams, like 5 teams, 75 members. It has the potential to grow a lot more. We're just lacking infrastructure. Just wondering if you guys know that cricket was Canada's first national sport, official sport, and it's died down. And we are a bunch of volunteers really trying to revive it here. It's becoming a very popular sport. It's the second most popular sport in the world, and also in Canada as well as a fast-growing sport. We thought, this community is a lot of daily wages worker, immigrants, and they cannot afford to pay membership. It's an expensive sport, can be very expensive. Equipment itself are very expensive. And so we kept our membership. We started with $50 for a year. Now we charge $150, but normally if you go to Edmonton, Calgary, they have 500 plus, and they don't provide what we provide here. So we have kept it just to keep in mind the population. We are trying to encourage them to play. Many of them have lost their jobs as well. So we keep it very low, and then we look for donations and whatever we could to find and allow more people to enjoy and feel at home here. And this is Waqar would agree. My roots are in India. His roots are in Pakistan, and is like a religion. We cannot live without that. So how important this is. See, this sport has grown, and we're lagging in infrastructure now. 2 teams play at a time, and there are 3 teams are waiting and can't play. So there was few needs we identified that we don't have capacity to really build that kind of infrastructure, kind of resources we have. One is really a practice facility where on this side ground or somewhere we have a like bowling cage or batting cage like we have for baseball. We lack that. We don't have that. So we have submitted proposal as well with Parks Committee. I believe they said we'll look into if approved for 50% of support. So cost is about 10,000. So even 5,000 is we have to scratch our head. What are we doing? The other issues really we have is there's a children's park next to the ground, and we have our heart and mouth most of the time. The ball is like a rock. If it lands, it's just disaster waiting to happen for the last 9-10 years. We've been playing. Ball have landed to small children very close to them, and if it hit head, they can even die. So that's how serious this is. We are stationing a couple of players there to just watch it, but in the excitement of the game, they would. It's very hard to monitor. Parents, of course, they should supervise, but they won't really be looking at the sky ball coming their way. That's something that we have always been worried. We have insurance, we have everything covered, but we don't want anyone to get hurt. We do have, it's not just our membership has grown in terms of adults, but we have a lot of youth. We have youth program as well as women's cricket as well. We just lack infrastructure and time and money to support them, but we do have those programs as well. We have bought bowling machine, but there's some kind of other needs for bowling machine that we would like. It's hard to carry very heavy equipment to the ground. You need almost a kind of trolley or something on the wheel that again can cost $1,500 to or more. A lot of players come and watch. A lot of spectators come and watch, and they just stand there. We hope that there is some kind of stand built over there for audience to come and watch. We also looking for support with provincial tournaments, which cost close to 10 grand, and we really have a hard time begging people to pay, donate money and organize those sports. Grande Prairie, otherwise, for Commonwealth countries, especially cricket-loving communities, it would be weak point if there's no cricket, and not many people would be attracted towards Grande Prairie, particularly that kind of population, which we have contributed to the city, and the growth of South Asian population is evident. We can see so many more. Some of you were there at Diwali party. That's just one community we're talking about. There are 10 more such communities. It could be 10,000 people sitting there. That big is growth has been here. 10,000 would be too much, but I'm just throwing out this has grown quite a bit. These are some of the supports we're looking at. Maybe there's also an idea of like another ground. If we see that there are people still playing in public parks here and there. Behind Walmart area, there are 3-4 teams playing. They're not part of us. If we have more infrastructure, more ground, they can come and join us. It can really grow. But we really need looking for some support from city to help us further work. We just a bunch of volunteers, we're professionals. We just spend a lot of time, personal time to help this sport grow here and people enjoy and have a quality of life.
Perfect. Well, thank you for your presentation today. I'm going to open it up to council. There are quite a few people in the queue with questions. Councillor Bressie.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Clayton. And it was an eerily spooky presentation for me to hear. I also started a sport in 2012. I also am only in Grande Prairie because of it. And ours is also doing better than Calgary and Edmonton. So I feel we'd have to have coffee sometimes. It sounds like a lot in common there. So thanks for the work that you've put in. I know how hard it can be. I'm curious, something that, I'm sorry if I missed it, but if the city did everything you were hoping for, do you know what the total cost would be, or is that something you're still trying to figure out?
So right now, what we're hoping to do next year is 35,000.
Yep. So
yeah, I have attached the proposal with that.
Oh, my apologies. I never saw the proposal. Am I missing your?
We didn't see the proposal.
I attached it. Oh.
Well, there's no. It says attached, and then it wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it possible for you if there's a little X on your table? Can you put it there so we can see it?
Yeah, this is one, and this was attached with this.
Yeah, we never.
Two
sorry, we never
pages.
saw that.
Just give us a second. We're getting it sent to council. So you have it in your emails now
Okay.
and on the screen as well. Okay, so in that, it outlines by item the funding request. And it is in your emails.
It's page 1 and there's another page.
Sorry, Councillor Bressie, did you see it in your email there?
Yeah, I did. Can I ask one follow-up?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Great. No, it's thanks. This definitely answers that question I asked. I'm just curious, are there any other places that you're going right now to apply for grants or apply for funding, or is this kind of the first stops you're trying to get cash for these?
Other option is really ask for donations. That's what we already do. Our operating cost is about 18 to 19,000.
Okay.
And with the membership, we get about 11,000. So another 8,000. Either we are contributing or we are asking for donations. So that's just operating cost. So we are there's quite a bit gap there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right. Councillor Berg.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton, and thank you, gentlemen, for adding to the culture here in the city. Ironically, the last time I played cricket was actually in the UK, and we played in a field which had stinging nettle and the whole bit. So it was just a young group of guys, and we made it work. So is there some place in Grande Prairie that you would like to add another field? And what really is the preparation again? I literally played in a field. So is it just a park space similar to a soccer field or a football field that you're looking for?
There's a couple of things. The main important where you pitch, like baseball, you pitch in the air, right? Cricket, you hit the deck. So that pitch itself is a main. That's where the cricket is played. So that itself, the construction of that could cost about 10 grand, and then the mat that comes is easily about another. It could be from 5-6 grand to 25 grand. It depends on quality of that mat. So that's the one piece, and then behind bowler's arm where the pitcher is, ball comes at sometimes 90 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour. So they need side screens. So the ball is white, behind you need some kind of dark background contrast. So we don't have right now. We try to put city help a little bit with the infrastructure there, the screen, but the neighbors complained that ball is white, so we need contrast is black. They said, keep it white. So we just we are not putting up that screen right now. But so that's another part of the cricket field, and of course about 100 yards in diameter, at least 120 yards in length, and then ball does go more than that, so a little bit area, and then dugout where players sit, and then of course the place where heavy equipments are stored is impossible to bring every day from somewhere's home.
Okay, so you're not looking for a new facility, just an adaptation of the current one?
Yeah, that's what we're right now looking at.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Councillor Blackmore.
I don't know where you're playing now. Can you tell me where your field is?
There's a field in Northridge Park.
Okay.
Behind.
It's just a field? Like it's not, you don't need a particular type of turf or?
We already have, city helped with us. So we have turf, we have the pitch, and we have a shed where players sit, and when there's rain or too windy, so there's a shed there.
Is the site itself fenced?
Fenced?
Yeah, it's not fenced?
No.
Okay. I need to go look at your site, but I think this is probably not the right time of year.
Right now there's no council. Kevin O'Toole always there coming and watching our play, and so come with him.
The rest of my questions have been answered.
All right. Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Thank you. DJ?
VJ.
VJ? PJ, thank you. I'm just looking at your numbers for the pitch and then your stands. $10,000. I don't know if that would cover that. Are you?
Pitch?
No, for the stands itself. You're looking for stands for people to sit at.
We don't even know how much it would cost, but we was thinking the shed right now we have it. We really did well negotiate the cost, but that was under 10,000. But that's not really nice looking shed. Professionally done would be a lot more. We just going by our previous experience, how much it cost. But the stands, if we look for stands, permanent or temporary, depends. Cost could vary, but we were thinking a similar kind of shed we could extend. Because right now it's a very cramped, small place, so it's not enough for players. And others people join from, and it's not much room there.
So what's the legal width of your cricket pitch? Because I believe it's a circle, right?
So the ground is an oval shape like this. A little bit, this is like egg shape, but it's a little bit more like oval, rectangular. And the ground from north to south and east to west, about 120 yards, 120 yards in length. That's sorry.
Okay.
Which is in the middle is 22 yards.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. Thanks for coming in, VJ and friend. Sorry, I don't know your friend's name, but Wakar, nice to meet you. So a couple questions that I have here. In regards to the children's playground, and I've been there. So it's a storm. The cricket field is the old storm pond right behind the Ashley building in Northridge. They have a small kids park there. When we have really heavy rains or a very heavy melt, we actually send a vac truck in there to suck out all the water from that park. I've seen it on several occasions, and kids can't really play it unless they're wearing rubber boots. So my question for you is, when you guys are playing cricket, do you ever see any kids or a lot of kids utilizing that park? I know it's a smaller park, but every year we have a playground replacement program. Sometimes council talks about maybe removing playgrounds where they shouldn't be. But if it's a safety concern and issue, I'd hate for that 1 in a million thing to be the one time a kid went to that playground. But does it get a lot of use?
So we do see some kids playing. There were not too many. I mean, you're right. I'm not sure if neighbors don't want their kids to go through they might get hurt. But we do see regularly kids there and enjoying. Just a couple of families. I'm not sure if they're avoiding it because there's a match. But there are kids. And sometimes our players' families are there, and their kids playing as well there. They come with their parents. But their kids, there's at least 5, what do you think, Carl? Around 5, 10 kids there.
When you guys are playing cricket?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, no, just wanted to know about that. The other one, as part of your ask, you said financial support for provincial tournaments. Has the Grande Prairie Cricket Association ever reached out and asked for a sports hosting grant or pursuit of excellence funding to help take care of some of the costs of equipment and or hosting an event here?
I think there's a $1,000 kind of grant there. Right now, what's happening in Alberta, there are 2 groups in terms of governing body of cricket in Alberta. So we first joined one group, and then Cricket Canada disqualified them, and then we joined the other group, and the Cricket Canada then disqualified the other group, and then so there's something happening there. So they could offer some support. Cricket Canada could offer some support, but there's a legal battle happening. It matters before the court and arbitration board, and they're trying to resolve which body has a more hold of cricket in Alberta. So we have they've asked us to keep paying membership, and we just are not sure whose one is the legal one or authorized one. So there's no funding coming from there. Whenever we organize our tournament, they couldn't help with nothing. We asked for even balls. Balls is about $50 each, and they couldn't pay.
Okay, no, that's all right. I was speaking more in reference to the city's own grants that we have. Like,
City grant?
so in some of them you can get up to $5,000 to host an event. Other ones you can get up to $3,000 for equipment and development and training of individuals. There's a variety of grants, but I think we have at least 3 or 4 through the city that one group like yourself could apply for. We also have sponsorship opportunities too. So if you're going to be bringing in cricket matches or tournaments, those are opportunities to reach out to the city because we do have funding applications that might be able to help with this rather than a straight over ask from council.
We did reach out. We were told there's a 1,000 grant only.
Okay, so I have other people in the queue, and I see there's interest in council to find out more information. I could suggest that we could get to delegation business and refer this to administration to work with this organization to come back with opportunities for discussion, but I will go to Councillor Bosch and then O'Toole.
Okay, thank you. That was actually what I wanted to ask you about, is if you're a society now, or you don't have any of that figured out at the moment,
No,
right?
we do have. We are a registered society.
Oh, you are a registered society? Do you work with the Sport Connection or Grande Prairie Regional Association of Volunteer organizations? Both of those could help you greatly aside of our administration. So maybe, we can put some notes together, with you and for you through our administration and so that you can get some help for this, because most definitely you can get grants, you can get assistance for how to run your association in regards to, policies, bylaws, everything else. Maybe some of this legal stuff to delve into that. So, I'm happy you're here, and we'll have to get you some help.
All right, Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Good day. I just want to make sure that I understand your ask. You're asking for $25,000?
35.
35?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're looking for some bleachers to put outside for people to sit on? Yeah. And you've got a pitch there, but have you got a place in mind where you would like to have a pitch put?
That's before the officials, they would decide where. Once the amount is approved, then they'll come and inspect. We would prefer if that practice pitch is next to the parking area, ground and parking area. There's a ground there that would be good enough for a practice pitch.
Okay. So that's just for a practice pitch, not another field?
Not other field, yeah. Practice pitch.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for that. For some reason, I'm not allowed into eScribe, so thank you for coming today. If you didn't hear earlier, our delegation business is handled following our committee business. So you're more than welcome to stick around, listen to the conversation, or if you'd like to leave, someone from administration will follow up with you.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Do you have one? Thank you. All right, moving along under reports. Item 6.1, public member appointment. I will look to council. We're just going to go straight into it, no introduction. So Councillor Berg, I see in the queue.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I would just like to move that council replace Arlen Miller in his current position on the Grande Prairie Public Library Board with the appointment of Dan Lemieux for a term effective November 14th, 2022 to December 31st, 2023. And just to speak to this, Mr. Miller has indicated that he's retiring at the end of this year, and he's going to be a major loss for us.
Middle of next year.
Middle of next year, okay. All right.
I always try to push.
Well, he was actually he was
hey, by the
today.
way, we got something to tell you.
Yeah. So he was actually joking today that he was done at the end of this year, but maybe this is what this was. So Mr. Miller is retiring eventually.
There you go.
Within the term of this. And so Mr. Lemieux is an avid reader and a fan of the library, and so he stepped forward to take that place.
Thank you for that motion. That motion's in order. I will support this motion. I wanted to thank Mr. Deputy CAO Miller for his work with the library board. Welcome our Chief Public Safety Services and Safety Officer. I think it's a good transition, and I know that Mr. Lemieux will do an excellent job in filling Mr. Miller's shoes. So I see no one else in the queue. I'll call the question. I already went, but Mayor Clayton in favor?
Councillor Bressie in favor?
Councillor Plott in favor?
Councillor O'Connor?
In favor.
Perfect. And that carries unanimously. Thank you for that. Moving on to item number 7, committee business. Council had a Council Committee of the Whole meeting on Monday, October 31st. It is in your package. I am looking for Councillor Blackmore. Thank you.
I would move that Council adopt the minutes of the Council Committee of the Whole meeting held Monday, October 31st, 2022 as presented.
Perfect. That motion is in order. Seeing nobody in the queue with comments or questions, I will call the question.
O'Connor in favor.
Mayor Clayton in favor. And that carries unanimously. Moving along to correspondence, there is one item of correspondence in your package today. I will just, it is there. I don't know if it needs introduction, but it's just to let us know that we now have a new Minister of Municipal Affairs, Ms. Rebecca Schultz, who is from the Calgary region. She, as you know, ran in the recent UCP leadership race and has been a strong advocate for municipalities. I personally have had a chance to meet with her, and I know she looks forward to meet with council and many municipalities across the region on a regular basis. So just a little bit of information for you in your package, and I would just look to receive this for information. Councillor Bressie.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I'd move the council receive this for information, and welcome to the minister in her role. I know by all accounts from colleagues across the province, she's quickly gaining a lot of respect and seems very eager to work with our level of government to make local communities better. So glad to receive this letter.
Perfect. Thank you for that. I'll call the question. Mayor Clayton in favor. There we go, and that carries unanimously. Moving on to our delegation business, we had 3 delegations with us this afternoon. First being item 9.1, the Grande Prairie Chamber of Commerce. As you know, they came back with additional information for the first presentation. There was questions from council when they first came. I think that they came back to answer those questions. There is a financial ask in that, and so I'll open it to council for questions for administration or any business arising. Councillor Bressie.
Thanks. Just a question for administration. This is already in budget referrals, correct? So this, without a motion, specific motion, will get discussed?
Ms. Whiteway?
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Yeah, it's been included in the 2023 proposed capital plan.
Excellent. And I just move we receive this for information. I appreciate the presentation. I think it really helps set up that decision great, but I don't think we need any action right at this moment, because we'll be talking about it tomorrow.
Perfect. Thank you for that. So that motion is in order. I'll call the question. And that carries unanimously. Moving to item 9.2, Nitehawk was here today to give us an update on what's happening out at the Hill, as well as their service that they provided the region in ski and mini golf and biking. There is some financial ask there, and I'll look to council for any questions or business arising. Councillor Thiessen.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I think a similar question to Councillor Bressie's with a similar answer we're going to receive from administration. This one as well, this financial ask has already been included in our budget referrals for this week.
Ms. Whiteway?
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. So Nitehawk capital funding was previously approved, so there was a 2-year approval. So they are asking for an additional $19,100. So we can bring that forward as an additional ask to the previously approved amount during deliberations.
Okay, now just a question. There's also an ask for a offset of their energy costs of $50,000. Would that be going forward too?
Ms. Whiteway?
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Correct. We'll have to bring that as a separate referral to budget and have a discussion at deliberations if council chooses.
Yeah, so then I'll make the motion that we refer Nitehawk's ask to budget deliberations. I know that administration has heard it, but I don't think we've officially asked for it to be referred into the budget. So I'm just keeping it standard and
All right.
go from there.
That motion is in order. Any comments or questions on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. And that carries unanimously. Our third delegation that was here today was the Grande Prairie Cricket Association. Councillor O'Toole.
Yeah, I know this one isn't in the budget, so I'd like to refer this to budget deliberations for an ask of $35,000.
So sorry, that motion is in order. I do have Councillor Plott in the queue, so if you're
Yep,
looking
whatever.
for an amendment, sorry, if you're looking to speak to the motion, go ahead, Councillor Plott.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Clayton. I don't know if I could support this, Councillor O'Toole, because I don't know if we have enough information. I'm not convinced that the numbers they put in, I think they're fairly high-level numbers. I'm not sure if they're accurate numbers yet. So I'd probably more comfortable if administration worked with a delegation at this point to look at where these things would be located, if they're feasible the location, and more of a high-level cost, what they could be. Realizing they might not make budget, but hoping that we could figure out a funding source at the time when it comes forward. But I feel like we need a little bit more information on this one.
All right.
So I'd be happy to make a subsequent motion about directing to administration if Councillor O'Toole's motion's defeated.
Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Most definitely, I want to see this sport and these people have fun with cricket. I just think they need some help right now. I won't support this, but I will support hopefully administration helping out this association in getting to know the avenues of assistance and granting possibilities for them, so that perhaps we can just instead of $35,000, they can receive a lot more money in the future to upgrade what they want to do. So I don't want to throw out this as a negative, but I really want to see them get as much as they can in the future.
Thanks for your comments. Councillor Thiessen.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I was actually going to propose the same motion, but I figured I'd give Councillor O'Toole the opportunity to make the motion. I can't support this at this time. And largely, I think it was around the question that I asked around, have you talked to our administration about the different grants that we have available? I think that can cover some of their administration costs and stuff like that, their equipment costs and sports development and maybe even tournament hosting. But I think I'd look forward to that in any subsequent motion by Councillor Platt or whomever, that administration works with them and identifies the grants that that they can apply for, so that hopefully we'll see at least that coming forward in the new year, and they can take advantage of what we already have offered. But otherwise, yeah, I think cricket needs to grow and thrive. I just don't think just asking for money and not really having any backgrounder on it is a wise use of taxpayer funds. So, thank you.
Councillor Blackmore.
I'm in the same position. I'm not prepared to support the motion to refer to budget. However, I think that there are options that council or that staff can work towards with the cricket club, including looking for additional playing space for them. We have green space in the community that may be effective or useful for them, and I would like to see them grow their organization in ways that would require more space. So I would hope that when Councillor Platt makes that motion, he would include that, make his motion broad enough that staff has more to work with.
All right. So I will go to Councillor O'Toole to close.
So they're not very good at the microphone. You obviously seen that. Their heart is in the community. If it wasn't for the cricket sport in this community, the labs at the hospital would almost be empty because they can go to other places and work. This is bringing the community to work. When the cricket field opened up, the union that represents the lab workers gave them a donation, a significant donation, and they come up from Edmonton to support them. And I asked them, why did you come all the way from Edmonton to support this? He says, because it's keeping these people in Grande Prairie. End of story. On the other hand, everything that they've done it through their own work to get where they're at. They didn't ask a lot of people, including the city, but they have doctors and lawyers and other members of the community that supported them. I know, like I said, they don't speak, they didn't speak very well, but their heart is in the community, and they have the opportunity to grow. They've had the opportunity to have tournaments, and they are the reigning provincial. There's a team here that's the reigning provincial champion. It was, until Fort McMurray got involved, it was the northernmost cricket field in Canada. So with that, they got a lot of stuff there that they just don't self-promote. And whatever happens, it happens. But I'm okay with not allowing this to happen and getting them more help so we can understand exactly what their needs are. They do need another field. They do need some stuff to keep the teams busy when the other teams are playing. Hence the batting cage for the bowlers to pitch as well as bat. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
All right, that was Councillor O'Toole's close. I'll call the question. Please vote. And that is defeated 7-2. So, Councillor Palat.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. And thanks, Councillor O'Toole, for your passion around the sport and throwing the motion that I know that you want to support, and I think everybody here does as well. So my motion would just be to direct administration to work with a delegate with their report to assist in a site plan and potential locations, as well as funding sources required to the appropriate standing committee. And I hope that speaks to the concerns that, Councillor Blackmore and the rest of us are having. I think administration can do a good job working with the group. They may come back and we may be giving them even more money. When this study comes back, we may be funding them to a higher level, and I'm okay with that if that's where the report comes back with. The other thing that I'm not as urgent on this right now is I think we'll see this report back in a fairly timely fashion with the committee. There's snow on the ground. We're not going to be doing anything till probably April or May. They're on that site either way. So I don't know if us going to committee would really slow the process down. So I hope everybody can support that motion.
All right, comments or questions on the motion? Councillor Bressie.
Great. Yeah, I appreciate the motion, and I just noticed that even the delegation speaking, there was talk about a screen that got rejected and isn't there, and I think that's a conversation worth happening again. And for me, it's I want to see if we can do better than just make it a make-do facility, because it really is elbowing out room, and our community is a very important sport. So I'm thankful for this motion because I want to support this group, but I really want to do it in a way that we're really setting them up for long-term success, not just finding short-term wins. So I look forward to building a stronger partnership with this organization because I appreciate volunteers who make things like this happen.
All right, seeing no one. Oh, Councillor Thiessen, sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I'm only interjecting because I agree with everything that you guys are saying here. The only thing the only thing that I can add to the conversation right now is that they do have the blackout screens. They just didn't put them up because there's a lot of angst in the. There's one neighbor in particular that doesn't like it when it goes up because it blocks the view, they say. So that's fair. That's their purview in their neighborhood. So just being good neighbors, the Cricket Association didn't hang it this year, even though it helps with visibility and seeing that ball. But they do have the screens. We just need to give them the capability to put them up wherever this cricket field's going to go. Thanks.
All right. Seeing no one further in the queue, Councillor Palat, would you like to close?
No, thank you.
All right. I'll Call the question. And that carries unanimously. There are no notices of motion, and we will now go into council's recess. We'll see you back at 6 p.m. Thank you. Back to the second portion of our November 14th City Council meeting. We have one public hearing tonight on item 14.1 Land Use Bylaw Amendment C-1260-164. I will turn to, pardon me. I will call this public hearing to order and look to administration for introduction. Mr. Patel, Ms. Patel, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Administration has received an application to rezone 2 properties from residential transition to direct control district DC 33. The subject properties are within the boundaries of South Avondale Area Redevelopment Plan. The purpose of this amendment is to provide for the development of an apartment building on a site-specific basis. The owner intends to build an 8-unit apartment. The combined area of the 2 lots is 748 square meters. The 2 lots are currently vacant. The surrounding area consists of a medium and low-density residential development, including semi-detached dwellings, multi-attached dwellings, single detached dwellings, and apartment buildings. The future land use concept of the South Avondale Area Redevelopment Plan supports the development of apartment building up to 8 units. Therefore, no change is required to the ARP. The proposed apartment building is compatible in height, scale, and size with the surrounding buildings. The building is attractive in appearance and will enhance the overall streetscape of the area. The site is within approximately 10 minutes walking distance of the downtown and recreational amenities at the Muscogee Park. The development is also within the walking distance to the transit stops. The subject properties are located on the corner lot and has access to on-street parking. As per the site plan, which forms part of this DC 33 district, the proposed development is appropriately landscaped. The proposed development has variances in lot area, building height, side yard setbacks, and parking provision. Administration considers the proposal to be compatible with immediate surroundings and support the noted variances in the form of DC 33 Direct Control District to provide for the development of this 8-unit apartment building because of the above discussed rationale. Based on this background and analysis, administration recommends that council gives first, second, and third reading to this amendment. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the introduction. We'll now move to the presentation portion of our public hearing, and I would look. I'm getting there. Thank you. Can you stop correcting me, please? Look for questions for administration from council. Open up the queue. Councillor Blackmore.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. When I look at the parking allocation for this building, I think it's an 8-unit building, and it looks to me like there's 9 stalls. Is that sufficient parking for an 8-unit building?
Ms. Patel?
The building, thank you, through the mayor, the apartment building has 9 stalls, and it is, the building is located in the corner lot, and it also has access to on-street parking. So it would be additional with the 9 stalls.
And is one of those stalls designated handicap parking?
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you, through the mayor. Yes.
Councillor Bressy, sorry.
Great, thank you, Mayor Clayton. I'm just curious why the approach of a direct control district instead of taking the approach of seeking variances in an existing zone.
Ms. Patel. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. The applicant originally did propose under the residential transition district. However, when we looked at the amount of land in the city that's dedicated as residential transition, we did have concerns about setting a precedence for supporting so many variances under the existing zoning. We're confident in going with the rezoning and noting the numerous site-specific considerations for this property. And by going DC, we have, I think, a stronger case to say that was that particular property. You're thinking about a different property and it doesn't share those same site considerations. So that was the rationale, but ultimately it was the exact same development that was proposed.
Excellent. Thank you.
Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. To administration, I see that there's, and maybe it's an oversight, is I see no lighting for the rear parking lot. My second is there appears to be no parking lot, a plug-in for the handicap parking stall, and there is no architectural layout for chimney flues, as there are 8 units coming up through the roof. That is going to cause a different look to the building, and just wondering why that is. And lastly, there is, even though there's a handicap parking lot space, but there's no handicap access, and I think the bottom floor could easily accommodate handicap. So just clarification on those 4 points, please.
Ms. Patel. Why don't we start with the first one, since he kind of bombarded you with multiple questions. In regards to the parking lot and the lighting and or electrical outlets. Is this an expectation in our design standards? We'll just give administration a minute to figure that out.
Thank you, through the chair. We don't have that level of detail in this site plan, and those items such as the location of outlets and lighting would be addressed at the building permit stage, and furnaces and how chimneys work are also addressed at the building permit stage to make sure that they meet required code.
All right, Councillor Plott.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. Just kind of building off Councillor Blackmore's question, just to get me up to speed, I was trying to flip through to find it on our site, but if this was in just a normal MR area, how many parking stalls would be required for 7 2-bedrooms and 1 1-bedroom?
Ms. Patel?
Thank you, through the chair. 12 stalls.
12 stalls, okay. And my other question is just, I'm not seeing, and I appreciate this is just a high-level picture where there's changes we made, but I'm not seeing where we'd have garbage storage or any kind of bins or anything on site. Would that be something through development process? I'm just wondering where that would lie.
Ms. Patel?
Thank you, through the chair. There is a garbage dumpster at the back where the parking stalls are.
Sorry, I thought that was a tree. My bad.
All right. I just had a question as well regarding parking. So you're not changing this to DC so that the parking can be less. You're changing it because of existing adjacent neighborhoods, or sorry, subdevelopments. Is that correct, Mr. Johnson?
Could you repeat that, please?
So you've changed it to a direct control, and now the parking stalls allowed, the parking stalls as drawn out are acceptable. If it was multi-residential, there would be 12 stalls, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And that if it maintained its current zoning of residential transition, it's proposing a parking variance. But because this is a different district, it essentially bakes that development regulation right into the district. So it's not considered a variance. It's considered by council, and when you adopt it, then when administration issues the development permit, we're issuing it consistent with the development permit, or sorry, with the direct control. So it just makes it a direct council decision on whether the reduced parking is warranted or not.
So I'm going to try a question for Mr. Lemieux, and I'm sure you may not know yet because you're new here, but are you aware if Enforcement Services has identified this area as an area of concern for parking on the street? There's many multi-family facilities in this area, and I'm curious if we're aware of this neighborhood being a concern for street level parking.
I'm not aware of any issues that have been brought up from enforcement services, but I could certainly follow up, but not aware of any.
Okay, thank you. Other questions for administration? Seeing none, we will go to the presentation and submission portion. I'll now look to see if there's anyone here to speak in support of this submission. If so, please come forward, introduce yourself for those who may be watching at home. Good evening, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton, Council. I'm Scott Rossler with Helix Engineering, so I've been assisting the lot owner and developer, Aaron Dodd, with the application. For the most part, I think most of the questions have been covered. We did the public circulation, so we did the door-to-door delivery of pamphlets and whatnot, so got to talk to lots of the residents. We received no complaints or concerns from anyone. We left a 3-week window, I think, open where they, with cell numbers and emails and whatnot, and again, received nothing. So I think most of the questions that were asked of administration got answered clearly, but if anybody has any more, I'd be happy to answer.
Councillor Blackmore.
In the report from city administration, there is a comment that this will be a good-looking building, and I'm looking for some assurance that it will be, in fact, something more than a vinyl-wrapped box, like much of the development is in that neighborhood. I have a concern with how shabby I'll call them vinyl-wrapped boxes because I know you know exactly what I mean, how shabby they become over a short period of time, and I would like some additional assurance, even though I know that what gets built, that the owner-developer is intent on building something that is attractive and will look good in future years.
Thank you. So, unfortunately, I can't guarantee you anything. There's nothing in the direct control district that dictates siding and elevations as far as the finishes that are used. So that's basically a building permit issue. Unfortunately, my client couldn't be here tonight. They're preoccupied with fairly important things. So, but if there are any, I mean, I can pass that on for sure. But I don't, because it's not in the actual district, I don't know that there's anything that I can comment on there.
Johnson, you had something to potentially add in regards to design standards in the DC?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mayor Clayton. The direct control district is specifically designed to capture the building elevations as proposed, which does include the materials. So if council refers to the building elevations contained in the district, then you get a pretty good idea of how it's going to look. There's some color that's left up to the imagination. However, the mix of facade materials on the front, as well as the wall coming in and out, and the balconies and the window styles and stuff, we do believe that it will be an attractive building as compared to the ones that you referenced, Councillor Blackmore.
Then I would encourage us to be clear to the developer that we're looking for something other than a vinyl wrap box. We're looking for something that'll look good in 25 years, 50 years. I know we don't have a lot of control over that, but we would appreciate if you could pass that on.
Yeah, and I definitely can. The only section, like there is some architectural criteria in here. It's nothing specific enough to say, yeah, it's going to be rock or whatever it is, but there is a lot of wording around that. Exterior finishing materials must be of good quality, durable, and attractive in appearance. The predominant exterior finishing materials shall have regard to the objective of ensuring that the development is of high quality. So probably as good as they can do, as far as without dictating very specific materials, which is not generally as a zoning thing. So yeah.
Councillor O'Connor.
Yes, excuse me, thank you, Mayor Clayton. This question is to Scott. I thought I saw some specification of a certain type of siding. It's a cement board type siding, but I could not find it in my paperwork. And hardy board, I think it was.
Downey has something for you there.
Yeah. And it had a specification, a number of pieces and some hard stucco work as well, brick work. So that's what I thought I read, but I couldn't find it.
I'm going to ask her in a minute where she got this from, because I don't have this.
Perfect.
But yes, hardy panel. So I can't say for sure. Like, it's not. Is this part of the actual zoning? Okay, then there's a lot of hardy plank on it, so it'll be a very good looking building. Hardy plank is the 8-inch cement board. So,
yeah. Thank you for that. I look forward to seeing this as a project.
Any further questions for the delegation? Seeing none, thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate your time. There is nobody online, so I will see if there's anyone else here that wants to come on up just for fun. And I'm joking, but I'm second time to see if there's anyone here to speak in support of this submission. And I'll ask a third time, knowing there's no one online, if there's anyone here to speak in support of this submission. Now I will look to see if there's anyone here to speak in opposition of this submission. Please come forward. Councillor Thiessen.
No, I'm just prepared to make the motion. I was getting in the queue.
How about you answer the appropriate questions?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to this.
I'll see a second time if there's anyone here to speak in opposition of this submission. And a third time, see if there's anyone here to speak in opposition of this submission. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and look to business arising. Councillor Bressie.
You know, I hear the key to Jeopardy is knowing the answers, is knowing when to click the buzzer. So, Councillor Thiessen. I would move that council give first reading to bylaw C-1260-164, being an amendment to the land use bylaw.
All right, that motion is in order. There's no discussion or debate on first reading, so I'll call the question. Please vote.
Councillor Bosch in favor.
Councillor O'Connor. Oh, we're good. Never mind.
Okay, thank you.
That carries unanimously. Councillor Bressie.
Thank you. I would move the council give second reading to bylaw C-1260-164 and just speak to it as was discussed. It looks like it'll be an attractive building. It will create more living space in an area of our town where I really want to get people living. And I know that there might be concern with some about the parking. For me personally, it is a location where it's an easy walking distance to schools, to employment. It's right on transit routes. It's an ideal place to live for folks that don't have vehicles. And if somebody doesn't have a vehicle, I don't want them spending more for the place they live because it includes a parking stall that they'll never use. Also, for me, I'm skeptical of parking minimums, period. I'm personally of the opinion that if somebody builds a building without enough parking and they can't get units filled because of it, that's kind of on them. It's not on us. And I'm especially concerned with parking minimums as we potentially talk about a stormwater utility model. So for me personally, the parking's not an issue. And I think parking aside, it'll be a good looking building that brings much needed living units. So I hope the council will support this.
Further discussion or debate on second reading. Councillor Berg.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Clayton. I'm in favor of this. I am a design guy. I love to see quality design, and I can see that on the building. There's been some thought obviously put into it. The balconies are on the south side so people can enjoy the summer days. So yeah, this is something that I think will actually kind of set a new benchmark for the neighborhood as opposed to the vinyl boxes. The windows look proportional to the building, which is an issue that I had with those vinyl boxes. But yeah, I like this, and I think this is, again, set a nice benchmark for the area.
Thanks for that. No further comments or questions in the queue, so I'll call the question on second reading. Please vote. That carries unanimously. Councillor Bressie.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I would move the council have third reading of bylaw C-1260-164 at this meeting.
Thank you. That motion is in order. So in order for us to have third reading here tonight, this must pass unanimously. I'll call the question. That carries unanimously. Councillor Bressie.
Thank you. I would move the council give third reading to bylaw C-1260-164, being an amendment to the land use bylaw.
That motion's in order. Seeing nobody in the queue, I'll call the question. And that carries unanimously. Thank you for that. Moving on, no delegation, oh, sorry, no delegation business this evening. Council member reports. Councillor Thiessen, since you're so eager to chat, you can go first.
You know, I almost said no to have third reading just so I could say, oops, I misvoted. Can we do that again? Just so I could get some mic time here today. Just joking. It was a good and busy week, as is this time of year. I didn't have any external committees to report on, so I'll just report on some of the events that I attended. November 1st, I was joined by Councillor O'Toole and Councillor Berg as a deputy mayor to do the proclamation for Family Violence Prevention Month at the Breakfast with the Guys. Councillor Bosch was there as well, sorry. I knew I was missing somebody. But yeah, we were there in Hull, and it was a great thing. It's why I wear this purple ribbon is, to encourage healthier relationships inside of our homes with each other. And so it's good that we have programming like this supported by the Odyssey House in our community, because it's teaching guys that we can create a culture, and sometimes the culture we create is with our words. And so we have to be mindful of that, especially in our dressing rooms, amongst our peer groups and otherwise. And so it's a valuable program. It was a bit under-attended as in recent years and past years. It was very well attended. This one, I think we're just getting out of COVID, but still an important message, and I know those boys received it, and they were even passed to figure out ways that they could make their team better, make communication better, and make family violence go away in all of our communities. So that was great. I love that engagement. Also, I went to the YMCA open house as well. I know many other members of council went to that. I was the last person through the door. It was great to talk with all the people at the YMCA and see all the programs that they have, from getting kids to work to, dealing with divorce and other issues and having those counseling services. So always happy to see that they're doing well, and that they got lots of programs to offer our youth here. And you know what? I think I'll go with just one more. I had the opportunity with members of council to go to the Rural Municipalities Association Conference. I think Councillor Platt, Bressie, Mayor Clayton, and am I missing anybody? Am I missing you, Councillor Bosch? Blackmore was there too. Yeah, I know. I just had to tease Wendy. It was a great conference, I found. One thing that I found that was better about this conference than some of the other ones is I don't get that chance to talk to our rural neighbors all that much. And so getting an understanding of where they're coming from and seeing how they operate their annual convention, especially with ministers and the Premier in the House and the opposition leaders, I thought was really, really great. Had a lot of good conversations, made some new friendships and contacts in and outside of the city and across the province, and it burst a few bubbles as well. So it was a good time had by all, and I was happy to go. Thanks.
Great. Thanks for that, Councillor Thiessen. Councillor Blackmore.
I was expecting you to go to Councillor Palat first. I have been fairly busy, but tonight I'm going to talk specifically about a number of things that are happening with the Downtown Association and in our downtown core. If you missed the Halloween party, which was on October 31st, it was a great success. It was an event hosted by the Downtown Association in combination with the City of Grande Prairie at the Bennett Centre. There were over 500 children who attended that event, and I've heard through the grapevine that it was really a great event. Kids and parents alike thought that they had just the best time. So speaking of events in the downtown, there are some more events coming up in the immediate future. Vegas night is this week on the 18th, so you can attend stores in the downtown area till 11 o'clock at night and enjoy some pre-Christmas shopping. Most of the businesses who are hosting Vegas night will have some snacks and little treats for you, and will be welcomed. You'll be welcomed with a warm heart. On November 27th, the Santa Claus event that will be held downtown is also at the Bennett Centre. That will include city tree lighting and the hockey game between all of the people with badges, so police, fire, and more. You can tell I know that much about hockey. Moving on, the best Santa will be there as well. And so you won't have to see Santa drive by you on the street and wave and hope that he notices you and notices that you want like a fabulous sled for Christmas. You'll be able to go to the Burnett Center, climb up on his lap and give him your long list right there to make sure that you get everything you need for Christmas. Speaking of Christmas, the Downtown Association has launched their gift card program just prior to this Christmas. And the gift card program replaces the old program. So the old program was you'd get a piece of paper that you had to guard with your life so that you didn't lose. And you were not able to go from one store to another and spend $20 here and $20 there. You had to pretty much redeem your gift card all at once. And so the new gift card program will be like any of the gift cards that you would normally buy, like a Safeway, like a iPhone card or anything like that. So it's good for all of the businesses in the downtown area, whether they be retail or other. And you can spend as much as you want in any one location, and the information is tracked electronically. So you get your plastic card, and this will be a great addition. So if you're out there, you're a commercial business and you're wondering what to give your customers for Christmas, I have to say that a downtown business card would be ideal. Looking after business in Grande Prairie. The other things that are happening downtown is if you're driving eastbound on coming out of Muskosipi Park and driving eastbound, you'll notice that the signage for, they used to say welcome to Grande Prairie at the bottom of Muskosipi Park, now says City Center. And there are some pretty unique buildings that are framed or highlighted on that sign. I have it here. There's 10 buildings. 8 of them represent actual city center buildings. One is a building that we are hoping will get built, and the 10th one is a fake building that's there looking to the future for prosperity and hoping that eventually that building will be built as well. So you'll see those signs, and there you'll also notice that there will be 22 branded poles that will actually mark the perimeter of the Downtown Association's land base. So you'll be able to tell exactly how important that association is to our city center area. And if you're curious about who's paying for the signage, most of that is paid through a federal funding, through a Canada Community Revitalization Grant that was delivered to us. There was a little bit that came from the Downtown Association, and $25,000 came from the City of Grande Prairie, which was actually left over from the north and west entrance signs, as we didn't spend all of the money that was in that budget. Special thank you to Bairstow and Associate Engineering, LSM, for their cutouts, and the Community Futures for all of the gift in kind that will take place to make the entrance to the Grande Prairie Downtown Center a very attractive place, and certainly worth the rehabilitation funds that have gone into that center over the last 4 years. That is my report.
Thanks so much, Councillor Blackmore. Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. And I've got a very short agenda, as everyone was away, but I did have some things I'd like to highlight. And one of them was the YMCA Open House. And there are 3 new programs that they have that are of important note for the community. If you get expelled out of school, they take you into their program, help you complete your classes because you've been expelled, and usually there is a better recidivism rate, and they're a very successful program. And then they have a work prep program that actually pays people to come and get learning on how to be a successful worker. Tremendous program, very well done. And then they have a child care program that they're looking at, making sure that people have child care services. Attended the fall intermunicipal in Beaver Lodge with all councils from the area, and that was very well attended. went to the Bear Creek appreciation event, and that was very well done at the Prairie Art Gallery. And then Chris and I did a mock council for the homeschooled school children, and they knocked it out of the park. And some of the questions that they asked blew both Chris and I away. Very well done by the children. They asked questions that I didn't even think I could ask. But anyway, and then went to the Remembrance Day celebration, and that was well attended by the community. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Councillor Berg.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. So no committees to report over the last couple of weeks. But what I did attend, again, was the Bear Creek Folk Festival Customer Appreciation at the Art Gallery of Grande Prairie. A wonderful event there, some live music, and still have an appetite to catch up on some live music, so that was nice. I was also invited to participate in what was called Bankers Day at JP2 School. And what that essentially was is the students are building a number of crafts to sell in an upcoming market. And it was kind of a Dragon's Den style where they had to apply for a small budget. But rather than, I guess, being overly mean and shooting them down, we all acted as coaches to help them refine their products and some of their approach to how they can not only assemble it, but also sales and pricing and so that they have a successful sale. So watch for that coming up. And I attended 2 Remembrance Day ceremonies, the Indigenous Remembrance Day, which was at the Veterans Memorial Gardens, and on November 11th, I attended Remembrance Day at the Cenotaph. And that's my report.
Great. Thanks, Councillor Berg. Councillor Palat.
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. I didn't have a lot of community events as I was away for a couple of conferences. The one I did was I attended as well to the Remembrance Day, the Cenotaph one, which was a well-attended event, and the weather cooperated, which was great. Last week I was in RMA with Councillor Thiessen, and he's mentioned that a few of us were out there for that. And I would agree, for me, being new on council again, it was nice to have a chance to meet some of the new county councillors that I haven't had an opportunity to work with yet. So I had a good chance to meet the few new ones that were on there and have some conversations with them. So that was important for me. And the week before, Mayor Clayton and myself actually went to a conference around housing and homelessness in Toronto, and some of the interesting takeaways I had from there was just the messaging. I felt like how they were switching it. I wrote down one thing. They're talking about creating health needs strategies for homeless populations, and that's just to try to tell their story differently, saying it's actually a healthcare crisis, not a homeless problem. And so there was a lot of interesting things about that, and some different conversations come out of that. They're doing a lot more data collection is what I found in general. They're really trying to get to the data collection side of it and making sure there's not redundancies in the system. So I thought that was a unique approach, and I'm sure we're implementing some of that, but I thought some of that might be good takeaways to come back here with. Was also interesting attending a couple of Aboriginal focused breakout sessions, and it really hit home to me of they really just do want to help their own. So it'd be nice to see if we could find a way to work with Friendship Center and that if there's going to be another facility we're built that it's Indigenous focused instead of. And there's much more grants and opportunities that way as well. So that was another one for me. And lastly, I went to one with 4 ladies about leadership, and a lady was very compassionate, but when they come around at the end and she said, "What do you think we need to do different as leaders?" And she said the word no. And she said, as leaders, we just have to start saying no. And it really hit me. On council, we get asked all the time for things, and you just want to say yes all the time. But she's right. If we don't say no, sometimes we get into these things we probably should have never got into, and it's really hard to undo them later on. So that was a really interesting takeaway for me, for a lady that was trying to be so empathetic to everything, saying sometimes we just have to say no. So that's my report. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Plott. Councillor Bressie.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Clayton. I did attend a number of the things that were mentioned, so I won't go over those again. But 2 things. One thing I was alone at was the Bear Lake Camp fundraiser. It was great to spend an evening talking about giving kids a positive experience in the summer. And also, I didn't hear if you mentioned it or not, but Councillor Thiessen and I got to attend the PARDS fundraiser, and that's a fundraiser I always mean to go to, and I've never quite made it to. So it was great to see some of the different things they get out there. It was great to see that I wasn't the only one, Councillor Thiessen, confused about how a fundraiser there worked. But in all seriousness, it was a great night for an organization that does great things for our community. Also, on the Alberta Municipality side, I spent a lot of time in orientation because I am now on the Alberta Municipal Services Corporation Board, and I get to chair our Audit Finance Committee. So that's a fun new challenge for me. And so I spent a decent amount of time trying to learn about those business lines that I now have to have some more input into.
Great, thanks for that. Councillor O'Toole, please.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. I have a couple of reports based on combative sports and Grande Prairie Commission. Additional costs are to be voted on at the request of Box Rec, and I'll get into that in a second. So Box Rec is the official recorder keeper of most commissions around the world. Since 2018, Box Rec has been the sole official record keeper for the Association of Boxing Commissions, which is the ABC in the United States. It is a federal law for the ABC to follow the Muhammad Ali Act, which stipulates the term Boxer Registry means the entity certified by the Association of Boxing Commissions for the purposes of maintaining records and identification of boxers. A personal identification number is assigned to the boxer by the Boxing Registry, and that goes through their entire life until they quit the profession. No boxer is permitted to box while under suspension. Box Rec Commission system fulfills the requirements of the Muhammad Ali Act and goes much further. The contractual agreement as of 2019 between Box Recs and the ABC states that every bout regulated by the ABC members shall have a $10 fee payable to Box Recs and a $5 payable to ABC. This applies to all professional combative sports regulated by the ABC, for which Box Recs provides a database. So when a person comes to Grande Prairie, for instance, and wants to fight, there's a lot of homework to make sure that these people are not suspended, they have a good physical health, and they're not fighting under an alias. So there's a lot of work to meet the requirements to step in the ring. Every televised PPV, pay-per-view event, shall have an additional $100 fee charged to the promoter, and Box Rec shall collect all fees and transfer the ABC share, which is $5 per bout, to the ABC quarterly. Now, this is all the Americans. The Canadian members, the Canadian commissions are ABC members. That is why they're asking for our support in introducing the same charge to Canadian events. In the order for the Canadian commissions to continue to receive the benefits of Box Rec Commission system. And so we'll be voting on that when we have our next commission meeting. And we will also be voting on the allowing of Sexsmith to join our commission. And we will be coming back in the near future at a council meeting to change the bylaws to allow this to happen. And that was my report. IDPA, which is a planning committee that I have volunteered on for many years, is planning a International Day of Peoples with Disabilities event on December 2nd. I think some of you've got it in your calendar. It would be a great idea to maybe come in and see what we're doing, as well as I think everything I've done so far has been on there. I also attended the Comp Remembrance Day ceremony. It was other members of council, and breakfast with the guys was a good event. I did attend the Anavets Remembrance Day ceremony. We had good weather and a good crowd, and short and sweet, did the job, and a lot of people were very happy that we could do it outside as well. And with that, that is my report.
Thanks, Councillor O'Toole. Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Thanks for the opportunity to be deputy mayor at this time. It's been a busy couple of weeks for me. Many of the things that Councillor Blackmore talked about with the Downtown Association are starting to roll out, and then with council as well. So the Remembrance Day ceremonies, the Indigenous Remembrance Day, I was fortunate enough to go to that. Second time I've gone to that. And the school ceremony, the Grande Prairie Composite High School, my first time seeing that school since it's opened. And then the Bonnet Center, followed by the Legion. And going to the Legion after Remembrance Day, I have to say that was unique. That was something I hadn't done before. And there was the Grande Prairie Marching Band. They did the contests for all the posters, food and drink for everyone. So I would recommend next year for people after the Remembrance Day ceremony to go to the Legion. Get your name in and become a member and support that valuable organization. I also did the Grande Prairie Local Immigration Partnership Committee, and that is where our very own Ainsley Miller talked to the committee about the Rural Renewal Program. So good to hear all those organizations who were part of this committee getting more information on that. Another thing that Councillor Bressy and I attended was the Northern Alberta Elected Leaders meeting. That was held in Peace River. He was there, I was here, so it's fabulous that we still can do Zoom at some point. The Bear Creek Festival Appreciation event was great. The fall intermunicipal meeting in Beaver Lodge, and several of our councillors were there as well. And we just do a check-in every season of where we are each at with our municipalities. Breakfast with the guys. Gotta tell you, I'm bringing greetings for that in the morning. That early in the morning, it's hard on me.
You still look good, though.
Super hard on me. But, you know, myself and all the boys from, you know, the football teams and stuff, we shared the same opinion. But breakfast was good, too. And a worthwhile cause, prevention of violence, of course, through impact. And then I had so much fun at the Halloween event. That was great to work with Haley and Stacy from the City of Grande Prairie. So huge kudos to them. They're fabulous to work with in this collaboration of event. And yeah, those kids, super cute. You know, I followed them all over the place. We even had the stormtroopers there to, you know, walk the kids through the core and get treats. I think it just allows me to be a kid with them. So between taking pictures and eating hot dogs, we had a great time. I even had people come up to me, "Oh, you're the one taking pictures. You're the one taking pictures." Yeah, I'm always taking pictures. So be prepared. If I'm going to be at an event, I'll probably be taking pictures of something. So special thank you to the Public Library, Grande Prairie Regional Tourism Association, and the Center of Creative Arts for lending us a judge from each organization so that I didn't have to be the main one to say who won and who lost. With the money that was given for prizes, that and along with chocolate from Rocky Mountain Chocolate, everybody was happy. So treats, hot dogs, and entertainment, it was great. So, and Mike, I have to tell you, I wish YMCA was around when you probably needed to go through the Expelled program, hey? Back in the day.
All right. Are you done your report?
I am.
Sir Bosch. Okay. Well, many of the items I attended were discussed. I have a couple things I'd like to add. Had an opportunity to meet with Miranda LaRoche from the Friendship Center, and happy to say that council will be going to the Friendship Center towards the end of November to have an evening of conversation where we will update the Friendship Center and their community stakeholders, such as Japacos and the Aboriginal Circle of Students, the Métis Association, where we'll update them on happenings at the city. So looking forward to that event. And it was a great conversation with many future potential events with Ms. Roche. So it was a great conversation. As mentioned by Councillor Plott, attended a Canadian Alliance to End Homelessness conference. It is the first time I've attended that conference, and I encourage councillors, if it fits into your discretionary dollars, to attend it. As mentioned, I liked the approach. There was great conversations. One report that was done from a municipality in Ontario talked about from NIMBY to neighbor, and it talked about youth reconciliation, prevention, and a proactive approach. So I thought it was a very refreshing conversation around housing and homelessness. So I thought it was well worth the time change and the travel. I had the opportunity when I got back from there to be a guest judge at the first annual Sound Check. It's a Grande Prairie music contest that was at the Jackpot, and congratulations to Isabel Abbott. I was one of 4 judges that evening. We were down to, I think, 13 acts at the end. Councillor Deason, I know, was a judge in the day to narrow down the pickings, and I can tell you there was a ton of great talent. Grande Prairie is very fortunate to have a very strong live music and entertainment group of people in our community. So congratulations to everybody who made it to the finals, as well as to Ms. Isabel Abbott, who you will probably, one of her prizes was she'll get some radio play on Today FM. So congrats to her. As mentioned, attended RMA. It was a very busy conference. Council had many ministerial meetings, including one with Minister Jones, where we talked about the ever-growing disparity between transmission and distribution rates across Alberta. He assured Council that this is a priority of Premier Smith as well as himself, so that was a good conversation. Also had a conversation with Minister Schultz, our newly appointed Municipal Affairs Minister. It was a great week. With that, Councillor Plott introduced me to a Edmonton-based development group. So we talked about opportunities in coming to Grande Prairie and what they may have on their radar for development in Grande Prairie. So it was a good conversation. And while there, I took the opportunity to reach out to rural region mayors to grow and expand the rail advocacy group. So now I think we're probably up to about 15 region mayors that will work with Alberta Forest Products, as well as Wheat and Barley Association and Oil and Gas, in regards to the disparities that we see across Canada in rail and transportation. I had the opportunity to represent Council at the Remembrance Day ceremony at Bonnet's Energy Centre. It was a great ceremony. They had a few changes to the ceremony this year. Lots of youth involved. That was nice to see. You could tell that people hadn't been in that ceremony for a little while because it was a little rusty, but I can tell you the Legion is so committed to our community, so thank you to them for the work that they do, as well as the many, many cadets that were there. Our RCMP were there, our firefighters were there, our sheriffs were there, our enforcement services were there, the marching band was there. It was really a great day, so thank you for taking the time to observe such an important holiday in our country and across the world. I wanted to say a happy belated birthday to 2 council birthdays this month. Councillor O'Connor and Councillor Bressy both celebrate their birthday in November. So congrats to you guys for making it another 365 days. I also wanted to thank Deputy Mayor Bosch. As mentioned, I've been extremely busy, therefore the deputy becomes extremely busy. So thank you for being committed to the work that was in front of you. And with that, I'll say goodnight and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.